poverty, I'm going to do it. So you have this. PNM and UNC cannot solve this. But there is another reason for the escalating crime. Allah is the one who gives. He is Al-Razaq. Al-Razaq, the one who gives rizq. And when Allah gives, He gives to some more and He gives to others less. But then Allah takes from some and He gives to others. Allah takes from some and He gives to others. How does He take? Well, you go in the market. When you go in the market, you do business. Whenever you do business, you take a chance. Huh? Whenever you take a chance, you take a risk. Huh? When you take a risk, you could make a profit. Or you could suffer a loss. That is business, isn't it? From the time you embrace risk, now Allah can take from some and give to others. So one day for me, one day for you. So today he rich, tomorrow he poor. Today he poor, tomorrow he rich. Okay? But when you have an economy like the one you have today, because of banking and insurance, when you have an economy as you have it today, in which the rich are now permanently rich forever and ever and ever and ever, and the poor are permanently poor forever and ever and ever and ever. When wealth no longer circulates through the economy as it is around the world today, thanks to riba. And you want to ban a man who is teaching the subject of riba? How foolish can you be? May Allah protect us from those who want to stop us from speaking. And may Allah open the eyes of those who are blind. They may see what they are now seeing today. Ameen. When an economy is based on riba, then wealth will no longer circulate through the economy. And so the rich remain permanently rich and the poor remain permanently poor. I want to say to you today, if you are on minimum wage and you're sitting in this hall, you will remain on minimum wage for the rest of your life. That is the general state of affairs. Those who are trapped in minimum wage will remain there forever. When an economy is based on riba, then wealth will no longer circulate through the economy. Now the rich will remain permanently rich and the poor will remain permanently poor, and that is oppression. Use any yardstick with which to measure, that is oppression. And when the people are oppressed, they eventually respond with acts of violence. They don't care about breaking the law, because the law is protecting the state master. And so you have kidnappings. And they don't feel that they're doing something very wrong when they kidnap. Because we have no other way to change a system of oppression. We are poor, we are on minimum wage, and we will remain on minimum wage forever. And so Surah Al-Kahf is explaining to us the causes of escalating crime. But then there are those who are rich, and they also commit crime. Because they want to get richer. His father owns half of downtown Port of Spain, and yet he takes a flight to London, and the police catch him with 1 kilo of cocaine. But your father don't own half of Port of Spain, man. You're done rich. You want more wealth? Yes. When a society is built on the belief that if you are rich, you are somebody, and you're poor, you're nobody. The one who is the richest of the rich, he is the most important of all. He's at the top of the ladder. And so even the rich will now enter into crime. They will pay the fellow who go and do the murder, the killing. Is the paymaster. Police go catch that one, they go catch this one. Surah Al-Kahf responds to these as well. Not only to the poor and to the rich. Surah Al-Kahf responds to those whose hearts are now so infected by the dunya. They want more and yet more of the dunya. وَاضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا كَمَاءٍ أَنزَلْنَاهُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ. Tell them that this is the story of the dunya. What? That water falls from the sky. فَاخْتَلَطَ بِهِ نَبَاتُ الْأَرْضِ. And when the water falls from the sky, the greenery emerges and the whole earth is green and flourishing. But then what happens after that? فَأَصْبَحَ هَشِيمًا تَذْرُوهُ الرِّيَاحُ. The green leaves turn to brown. Yes. Everything that you acquire of the dunya will one day turn to dust. The green leaves turn to brown, and eventually everything is blown away by the wind. Teach them the story of the dunya, says Surah Al-Kahf, and we learnt it when we were children. Do you remember? Dunya se dil lagakar, dunya se kya milega. If you give your heart to the dunya, everything you do from the time you wake up in the morning to the time you sleep in the night is, I want more of the dunya. I live for the dunya. I'll die for the dunya. Everything I do for the dunya. Dunya se kya milega? What does the dunya have to offer to you? Nothing that will remain forever. When you go down into that lonely grave, and if you've never thought before what life is in the grave, do think about it. Nobody there with you. Not your wife, not your children, not your neighbor, not your friend, nobody with you. Everybody turn around and walk away. And they leave you in the grave alone. When you're down there in the grave, you don't take anything from the dunya with you. Dunya se dil lagakar dunya se kya milega? Yade khuda ki ja tujhko khuda milega. But if you give your heart to Allah, if you give your heart to the guidance which has come from Allah, if you give your heart to the Quran like Sheikh Ali Mustafa, Maulana Siddiq Ahmad Nasir is coming a little later to introduce him. Is Maulana here yet? Not yet. To introduce him. He was 18 years of age. He was a Christian in Suriname. And you will hear the story of how he became a Muslim. And then Maulana Fadhur Rahman Ansari, rahimahullah, invited him to come and study in Pakistan. And he arrived there in 1969. He and Maulana Siddiq Nasir were in the same class. Same class. I was a senior student to both of them. But when he arrived in 1969, he decided, I want to memorize the whole Quran. Huh? This little African boy from Suriname. And he says, I want to memorize the whole Quran. And guess what? He did it in 1 year. Imran Hosein didn't do it. Wafi Muhammad didn't do it. Siddiq Nasir didn't do it. But Ali Mustafa did it. Hafiz of the Quran. When he goes down in the grave, he takes the whole Quran with him in the grave. That is his companion in the grave. The whole Quran. And so if you give your heart to this dunya, everything I live for is the dunya. The dunya will leave you. وَمَا هَذِهِ حَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا لَهْوٍ وَلَعِبٍ. This dunya and the life of this dunya is only sport and entertainment and amusement. وَإِنَّ الدَّارَ الْآخِرَةَ لَهِيَ الْحَيَوَانُ لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. But that is the permanent life. If only they could understand it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كُلُّ مَنْ عَلَيْهَا فَانٍ. Everything will perish and pass away. Everything. وَيَبْقَى وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ ذُو الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ. And only the face of your Lord, fair and magnificent, will remain. And in Surah Al-Kahf, Allah speaks again about the end. إِنَّا جَعَلْنَا مَا عَلَى الْأَرْضِ زِينَةً لَهَا. We have placed all of this in the earth to be its beauty, its ornament, in order to test you. وَإِنَّا لَجَاعِلُونَ مَا عَلَيْهَا صَعِيدًا جُرُزًا. But one day we reduce everything to dust. It will become a dust bowl, this earth. And so Surah Al-Kahf tells us how to get out of the situation in which we are in respect of crime. Do not give your heart to the dunya. Give your heart to Allah. But Surah Al-Kahf tells us even more. To explain the crime that we have escalating around the world. And then finally, Surah Al-Kahf tells us how to respond. Let us explain this and then we'll end, inshallah. Zulkarnain, remember last lecture? He has faith and Allah has given to him power. So he is the controlling power in the world. When power rests on the foundations of faith, this is the last lecture, we have the tape at the back, Gog and Magog lecture. When power rests on the foundations of faith, Surah Al-Kahf explains how is power used. Zulkarnain says, I will use my power to punish the oppressor. Or when he goes to you, you will punish him as well. So there will be harmony between this world and that. Zulkarnain says, I'll use my power to help those who have faith and whose conduct is righteous. Treat them nicely. And then Zulkarnain traveled in the opposite direction. And there he came across the people who had nothing. Nothing. Only the clothes on their backs. You have a book in front of you, the Islamic Travelogue. You will see in that part of the travelogue where I went to Bangladesh. And then in Bangladesh I traveled all the way down to the south to the sea. And when I came to the seashore, I saw the seashore full of people. They're all refugees, Muslim refugees from Burma. And they lived off the sea. They had nothing. Nothing. Zulkarnain had the compassion, the good sense, the wisdom, not to inflict any damage on these people. And then Zulkarnain traveled in the third direction, to the pass between the two mountains. And there he came across the people like couldn't understand their language. But we covered this in the last lecture already. And then these people said to him, these two people, Gog and Magog, they are committing fasad. They are corrupting our earth. This is what we have in Trinidad. This is what we are facing here today. Something called fasad, the corruption of the society. Can you help us? O Zulkarnain, can you build a barrier? Can you build a barrier between us and them to protect us from them? Are you seeing now the answer? Are you understanding the answer? How to respond?